Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. And what a beautiful, incredible Texas day. Standing here before our Texas state capitol in the city of Austin. And I just wanted to share with you our legislative priorities that have been brought up from our grassroots and the things that we are focusing on in the legislative session, the 87th session that just gavelled in yesterday. The most important legislative priority that we have as the Republican Party of Texas is election integrity. We've got to make sure that we clean up our voter rolls. We've got to make sure that people are not going in and violating Texas election law. And if they do, there are some serious penalties and ramifications, and we have to hold people responsible and accountable for that. We don't want to see what happened in Georgia and Pennsylvania, in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. We don't want to see that happen here in Texas. And so that's our number one priority. Our second priority is religious freedom. One of the concerns that we have to have is whether or not the Equality Act will be passed through the House and the Senate, signed by President Biden, and will come down and it will put our pastors, our religious organizations in a very precarious situation. Your number one liberty that you have in your Bill of Rights, the United States Constitution, is the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. So never let anyone have you believe that separation of church and state means separating our Judeo-Christian faith heritage from who we are as the American people, and definitely the people here in Texas. Our third legislative priority is constitutional carry. There is no reason why Texas should not have constitutional carry. Think about this. In which state do you have to get a permit for your First Amendment rights? None of them. So why do you have to get a permit for your Second Amendment rights? If you want to go out and still get a concealed carry license, that's fine, because you want to be able to have that reciprocity. But here in the great state of Texas, we should join those 30 some odd other states that already have constitutional carry. That's different from open carry. And our Texas GOP is fighting for constitutional carry. Another thing that we are so focused on, we have got to end the scourge of murdering our unborn babies. Last year in 2020, globally, 42 million babies were murdered in the womb. Globally, because of COVID-19, we've lost 1 million people. But let me ask you this. COVID-19 has a 99.96% recovery rate. A baby in the womb does not have a recovery rate when it's being dismembered. We have got to fix that. And it's personal to me. All this talk about racism and white supremacy, well, guess what? Planned Parenthood was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, who spoke at Klan rallies, a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger, who refers to blacks as undesirables and weeds. And since Roe v. Wade, over 20 million black babies have been murdered in the womb. That's the real genocide. How about those black lives? Do they matter? The next thing that we want to talk about is our legislative priority. We've got to end this practice of child gender modification. Man, when I was 8 years old, I was just trying to figure out, my cap guns and, my skates and all of that. But now we have young kids who are going on hormonal therapies, having their genitalia transitioned. We don't want to see the abuse of our children. We don't want to see our children being told about gender dysphoria, which the American Psychiatric Association said is a mental illness. So let's correct this. Let's stop the modification of our children and their gender. The next thing we want to talk to you about is monument protection. Look at all these incredible monuments that you have up here at the state capitol of Texas. The one here right behind me, it says, God in Texas, victory or death. I have never seen a Confederate general, a meta-Confederate general, that offended me. And so history is there for us to learn from, not for someone to come up with an ideological agenda to destroy. When I think about some of the monuments that have been destroyed, the statue of Frederick Douglass has been destroyed in the United States of America. The very first black unit that served in uniform for the United States of America, the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, their monument was defaced. We don't need to tear down monuments. We need to learn from our history, because our history is what makes us stronger. And as George Santayana said, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Taxpayer-funded lobbying is another one of our priorities, because the people here in this great building, our state representatives, our state senators, they should be responding to your voice, not the voices of money that's been taken from you and given to people who will come and lobby against you. We don't want to see that happen. And also, legislative priority that we have is school choice. You're looking at a guy who's a product of school choice. I grew up in the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia. My parents made the decision not to send me to the two failing public schools in our community, C.W. Hill and John Hope. They sent me to Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School, a black Catholic school located right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. Our parents should have the ability to choose for themselves the best education opportunity for their children. And lastly, executive overreach. We want everyone to abide by the Constitution, our Texas Constitution. And when you think about the enumerated rights and powers of the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and also the executive branch, the checks and balances that we have in there, we want to make sure that our state legislature has a strong voice, not someone telling them when and when they cannot meet. And let me remind you one other thing. No one has the enumerated power to say anyone in the great state of Texas is essential or whether or not their business is essential. Those are our legislative priorities for the 87th legislative session here at the great state of Texas. And we ask that you will join with us, go to our website at the Republican Party of Texas, figure out which one of these legislative priorities that you want to support and get involved and get engaged. Take the frustration, take the anxiety, take whatever concerns and fears that you have and turn it into a positive energy to support these incredible legislative priorities of your Republican Party of Texas. God bless you all, and God bless the great state of Texas.